Okay, I won't beat around the bush on this one. Okja is easily my favorite film of the year so far. Okja is about this little girl and this giant pig that's been created by this corporation for mass production, basically. And there's a contest between various farmers around the world who can raise the biggest pig. Now, as usual with Bong Joon-ho, the tone is this brilliant combination of various tones in that there's a lot of humor here. There's a strong satire, particularly in the corporation, but there's also a real heart and a dramatic core as well. The two openings of the film really pretty much summed it up in a great way, where we have this hilarious introduction by Tilda Swinton, who's brilliant in this role as the head of this corporation who's selling these new pigs in such a ridiculous way. And then we switch to the South Korean girl with her pet pig 10 years later as she's befriending and she's friends with it and they play together and such. There's a real heart there and it absolutely works and you feel that connection and that feels absolutely genuine just as much as the corporate stuff feels completely thin surface, purposefully so because it's meant to satirize. And you might think this might be an excessive message movie, although there certainly is a message there in the treatment of animals, but it doesn't hit you over the head with it. It even goes further in that there's a group of what you would assume might be the heroes in a more heavy-handed film in these animal rights activists, but even they're shown not to be completely as much on the level as they should be, though they grow more as the film goes on. Their leader's character arc being particularly well realized by Paul Dano, who gives a very surprisingly warm performance that really makes a strong impact. As usual with Bong Joon-ho, the performances are a variety of types, and that you have the central lead by Ahn Seo-hun, I don't think I'm pronouncing it right, but who's very earnest and gives a properly humane performance that stands as a great contrast to everybody else in the film. Meanwhile, though, you have Tilda Swinton, who's very broad, but in a good way as she excels. I will say, though, Jake Gyllenhaal as this, evil zoologist is awful in this. I usually like Gyllenhaal a whole lot. I thought he was great in Nightcrawler. Here he goes way over the top. He's terrible. He's the worst part of the film. He's the only part of the film I didn't like. Everything's just nails on the chalkboard whenever he shows up. Luckily, his screen time is relatively limited. Overall, this film, though, is incredibly effective as it creates up basically this fairy tale, this very grim fairy tale of this girl and this pig going through all the different forces trying to manipulate the pig or use the pig in some way. And it really has a great energy, as so often do of Bong's films. And he really does meld those two tones beautifully to create such an entertaining, yet heartbreaking and heartwarming film all at the same time. There's just some standout sequences, like one where the animal forces try to save Okja in one sequence from the corporation, or this big parade near the end. Everything has just a brilliant eye due to Bong's terrific direction. And that's why I'd give the film easily 5 reels.